Good morning. Hello. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. Wow, the first week of January sure has been a long month, huh? But we are here to be the light and the love, and so we just love to connect our hearts with you. Let us know where you're watching from and how you're doing this morning.
Good morning to you, and we have a treat for you this morning. Unity Church of the Hills congregant Adrian Mullaney is going to take a little time and share a piece of poetry with you that we think is very relevant after our experience this week. Here it is.
I was living in California for about 10 years, starting in 2001. And while I was there, I got involved in a Gene Houston mystery school that went on during the year. I think we met 5 times. And during that period, I met a lovely artist. Her name is Denise Kester. And she was doing a workshop to bring out our artistic nature. And because I don't do that very well, it's not something happens. So I took the workshop. That was the 1st of August in 2007. And it moved some things in me. And I felt like writing. On August the 26th of 2007, I began to write. And this is pretty much what I wrote with very few corrections, except when you get to the end. And then the last 5 or 6 lines are current. I found this in a book that I made at that art class between the 10th and 15th of December 2020. And believe me, I was really moved and touched. And then I began to realize that it was unfinished. And so on the I have written down here, on the 18th of December 2020, I finished it. And this is what I'd like to read for you today. Okay. So far, it's untitled. So if anybody has ideas, I'm open to ideas on the title for this if it needs one. All right, and here we go. I invite you to be alive in your body, breathing from your belly long and deep, becoming the ancient rattle that holds the heartbeat, rhythm pulsing, flowing, moving the hips and feet, dancing life into dry bones, awakening the rivers and passion of a new creation. A new day is born. We are building a new world, allowing beauty, cooperation, compassion, art, loving, bridging all things to a new order, ebullience in our bones, a new way of being in the world, fusion, flashing, exploding light, bathing all souls into union, one soul, one world, many people, wholehearted human beings, a new creation. We are becoming the dream of our future, fully alive in all of ourselves. One being, many expressions. We are becoming the dream of our future. It is here now. We are creating a new story. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrian, for sharing your heart with us. We thought her poem was relevant to the work we're all called to do to create that new humanity now that Reverend Eliza speaks about week in and week out. Our Sharing is Caring program continues, and this week we're supporting an amazing organization, Survive to Thrive.
I love Survive to Thrive. It's really one of my favorite organizations. Courtney Santana, who has been a singing partner of Roderick's for quite some time, is heading up that organization, and we are so grateful to be able to contribute to them.
And the way that works is for every share while we are live, we'll donate $5 to Survive to Thrive. So take a moment, share the service. We are going to go ahead and get started. We love you all so much. Peace and blessings.
We're not going to sing Let It Snow?
I think we'll let them know later.
Okay. I feel the Spirit moving in me. 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 I feel the joy 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 moving in me. I feel the peace 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 moving in me. I feel the love 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 moving in me. I feel the Spirit 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 moving in me.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. I'm feeling that spirit moving in me. I'm feeling that joy and that peace moving in me. We welcome you here. It is Austin. Many of you who are watching are probably from Austin, but those of you who are not from Austin, we have snow. I don't know what to do with that. I'm not sure how to handle it. You know, Rob and I have been committed to living, nowhere where it got below, or anywhere, how do I want to say it? We're allergic to anything below 70 degrees, so snow on the ground is like, ah! But you know what? We think it's only going to be one day, so we can be good with it. I figure it's still 2020. Even though we're well into 2021, it's a part of the crazies, right? Anyway, my name is Reverend Eliza Bloom Robinson. I am your bridge interim minister here at Unity Church of the Hills, and we welcome you here. We are committed to connection and community, even though we are virtual. So we would love your comments in the comments, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or even on our website. So we'd love to know something new about you. What can you share? Like, what do you love? Or maybe it can be around the snow. I love the snow. Oh, I'm allergic to the snow too. Or last time you were in snow, or something about that, just to get some engagement going. That helps us on many different levels. If you are here for the very first time, we want to recognize you, acknowledge you. We are a positive, practical path, and we are about a world awakening to love and kindness and compassion. We have lots of things going on. If you'd like to know anything about Unity Church of the Hills, you can type the word connect into the chat, and somebody will reach out and give you any information that you want. You can also find us on the web, unityhills.org. We are founded on prayer. Prayer chaplains are available to pray with you. It might be a good time to pray, although my husband was in a ministerial class, and I think their motto was, it was too late to pray. It's never too late to pray, but we can pray all day long, and we have trained prayer chaplains here available, ready to pray with you and for you. And you can contact them by calling the phone number that's on your screen, and they will call you back. Leave your name and your phone number, and a brief message just requesting prayer is fine. Our youth and family, we want to spend a moment just to acknowledge them, to embrace them, even though they're not in the room, like none of you are in the room with us. We have a strong and vibrant youth and family program. They have lots of things going on, lots of virtual things going on. You can find out about them also on unityhills.org. And we want to also lift them up. And not only the kids, from the littlest all the way up through even high schooler and even the next generation Unity, but also the teachers and the parents. And just feel them in your heart. Feel the vibrancy of youth, the innocence of youth, the possibility of youth. And we just hold them with such gratitude as we bless them just in our hearts. We have a very exciting program coming up starting a week from tomorrow. It is Prosperity Plus. It is one of the Mary Morrissey bodies of work. It's something that I've been teaching for many years. The subtitle is Living Full Potential Wealth. And it's not only about money, but it is about stepping into the truth of your full potential in your health, in your relationships, in your vocation, and then in time and money freedom. And so we invite you to consider joining us. We've invited our leadership in, our board and our staff. We're hoping to get a really nice mix of people who are playing. It is designed as an experiment, but it is a commitment program. It is 8 weeks, starting a week from Monday, and there are commitments. So those are easily seen when you go to the materials and things. But we would love to have you play, because I promise you, if you play full out for these 8 weeks, something in your life will change and surprise you for a good and greater good. So it's really fun. I'm excited that we're bringing that here. So let's join together with our vision statements. So take a moment to kind of just take a breath and go, okay. There's like the musicians and like 2 or 3, the tech team, 3 people in the whole building, and yet I can hear that collective sigh. Like we all go, So our vision, if you'll speak it with me. We are an ever-expanding community of love and acceptance where lives are transformed. And let's take that vision into our opening prayer. We feel that possibility, ever-expanding community of love and acceptance where lives are transformed. So as we line up with that vision, we open ourselves to be the truth of that statement. And in this sacred space, we lift up all of the events of the past week. We lift up all of the people who are impacted by the world, by life on the planet. And we know that there is but one presence and one power active in the universe that is greater than anything on the outer we see. We call it good. We call it God, and we align ourselves with that now. And as we align with that presence, we open our minds, we open our hearts, we allow our beings to be touched by the activity of Spirit through this service, through who we be and how we are in the world. We give gratitude for each and every one of you who are watching, either live or on the recordings. We give gratitude for all of the people who are a part of putting this service together, our sound team, our tech team, our staff, our volunteers, our production team. And we open ourselves to a greater awareness of love, praying in the name and through the power of the living, loving presence we call Christ. And so it is. And so we let it be. Amen.
Good morning. Did you guys notice our new carpet? So we just wanted to give a shout out about the new carpet. It is made possible by a distribution from our endowment fund as well as from some generous anonymous donors. And we love it. It feels fresh and clean and beautiful. So we're super grateful and wanted to just make a mention of it. This week's Sharing is Caring benefits Survive to Thrive. For every share of the service while we are live, we'll donate $5 to this amazing organization. Cliff and Lou Goodwin-Mark have relaunched the How to Mastermind information sessions, now available via Zoom. Learn about this powerful process today at 1 p.m. You're invited to join Dr. Dan Stasek for his Learn to Meditate class on Tuesday, January 12th at 7 p.m. The class is offered on a love offering basis on Zoom. Then on Wednesday afternoon, come hang out in the quantum field with Reverend Eliza Bloom Robinson. She's offering a 45-minute group quantum frequency session on a love offering basis this Wednesday, January 13th at 12:30 p.m. It takes place, you guessed it, on Zoom. The Way of A Course in Miracles 2, Undoing of Fear, begins this week. Join longtime course student and practitioner Jennifer Feiereisel for an 18-week study on either Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. or Friday mornings at 10:30 a.m. The workshop is offered on a love offering basis. And as Reverend Eliza mentioned, the Prosperity Plus 3 class, Living Full Spectrum Wealth, begins on Monday, January 18th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Visit our website, unityhills.org, to learn more and register today. Licensed Unity teacher Anita Farrell and LUT candidate Sandra Vela will be teaching a 5-week study of Unity prayer, beginning Saturday, January 30th from 10 a.m. to noon, also via Zoom. And finally, we want to invite you to participate in a social media drawing during the month of January by visiting our new angel wings, lovingly painted by Sharabella Feeney. The wings brighten our Unity Oaks Pavilion. You're invited to take a picture and then tag yourself on Facebook or Instagram with either hashtag Finding My Wings or hashtag Ready to Soar. We'll be drawing a winner at the end of January, and the winner will get some really cool stuff from our bookstore, which is open, by the way, by appointment, and you can contact bookstore@unityhills.org for that. And that's it for the announcements. Stick around at the end of the service for the announcement video, but for now, I'd like to invite you to just settle in, closing your outer eyes and moving into a space of meditation. We get to let go of the doingness, move into spacious beingness. Become aware that you are aware as you let your breath take you there effortlessly, anchoring into the present moment with every inhale and every exhale. So breathing in, letting go. Let's take another deep collective breath. I know you guys are out there, so breathe in. Settle in. Effortlessly moving into a state of expanded beingness. As you soften the borders of your skin, so that just maybe you feel the subtle energies of the universe pulsing as you. Drop into your heart space and connect with the center of your being, the pure Christ at the heart of your soul. love and acceptance, freely given, freely received. Rest your awareness there. You are light. Love is the essential nature of your being. And in your union with the divine, there are no conditions, no judgments, no expectations. So here you see you have permission to let go of all the judgment, self and other. Permission to drop into the expansive love of the universe. How might your life look in that space of total acceptance? I invite you to rest in the silence, notice and allow. This is where the divine essence of you has been planted as love, free of all conditions in a field of infinite possibility. Be this in the world as you bring yourself back into this time and space. And when you are ready, open your beautiful eyes.
Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is falsehood, let me bring truth. Where there is pain, I'll comfort you.
Where there is silence, let me bring praise. Where there's despair, let me bring hope. Where there is blindness, let me bring sight. Where there is darkness, let me bring light.
And if these words I speak, grant that I may not seem to be heard, but will receive. When we forgive love, we will reprieve. It isn't dying, will be released. Make me an instrument of peace.
Thank you, Celebration. I feel that power of song washing over me. Make me an instrument, Lord of thy peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. I want to start with a poem. One of our favorites here, I understand. Thank you. I haven't used slides in my talks here yet, so thank you, Audrey. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Out beyond all thought, right doing and wrong doing, there is a field, the field of infinite possibility, the field of spirit, the field of full potential. I'll meet you there. That's where we're called to be. That's where we're called to awaken in our own selves. Don't go back to sleep. To awaken in ourselves that we are but one humanity, that we are expressions of that which we call God, source, creation, the universe. We are the creative. We say that in God we live and move and have our being, which is absolutely true. In God we live and move and have our being. And it's also true that in us, God lives and moves and has expression. So we've been talking about new humanity. I've been talking about new humanity for a long time, well over a year. That's not that long, but aspects of it for a decade or two, maybe. And what is that new humanity? What is that? How can we access it? And how can we come into a place where we are living our full potential? And the first thing that I want to say about that is sometimes you're called up to be the love and the grace and the presence and the power that is God. Sometimes you are called to be lined up with that which is possible. And sometimes it's okay to take a nap and eat a snack. There was laughter. But it's scripture. Do you know it's scripture? Take a nap and eat a snack. Do you know that? No. Where's all our seminarians, right? Elijah. At once an angel touched him and said, get up and eat. Well, okay, so the pre-story is he was exhausted and he was mad and he wanted to give up and he even wanted to die. He was exhausted with the world, right? Anybody ever feel like that? And he crashed out. But the angel touched him and said, get up and eat. He looked around and there by his head was some baked bread, baked over hot coals, and a jar of water. He ate and drank and lay down again. Then the angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. So he got up and he ate and he drank, strengthened. He traveled 40 days and nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. Then he went into a cave and spent the night. Sometimes God says, sometimes the angel of the Lord say, lie down and take a nap and then eat a snack. You'll feel better, right? What is it, the hangry? If you're hangry, like hungry, angry, what, I forget all the words, but yeah, you know what I mean, right? If you get too hungry, you need to take a break. I can get a little hangry. My blood sugar can do something weird. Not so much right now anymore, but you know, especially in the past, be like, whoa, I have to eat like now. It's usually a spoonful of peanut butter, that'll. But then the angel of the Lord appears to Elijah, but this is really important. He says, what are you doing here, Elijah? And he replies, I've been zealous for the Lord Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, put your prophets to death, and with the sword, I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. I give up. Okay, I added my own words there. I quit. I'm tired. I don't see the way through. I don't get it. Why is it so hard on this planet? And the Lord said, go outside and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After their wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper, the sound of sheer silence, the still, small voice. And when Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and he went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. That presence that we call God shows up in the stillness. It doesn't show up in the hurricanes or the earthquakes or the fires or CNN or Facebook. It doesn't show up out there. It shows up right here in the midst of our own very being. And when we land in that place, when we rest and we eat and we take solace and we go away from the world for a bit, 40 days and 40 nights sounds pretty good sometimes. Sometimes it's 40 minutes, sometimes it's 4 minutes. But when we can disengage our mind from the outer, whatever that looks like, and we can access that still small voice, that point of stillness within us, everything resets. It's said in the book of Proverbs, people without a vision will perish. People without a vision will perish. But he that keeps the law, happy is he. the law, that word kind of trips me up a little bit. So again, I like to paraphrase. Those without a vision will perish, and yet those who are aligned with that which we call spirit, with the essence of who we are, with the part of us that is ever evolving and expanding and becoming, happy is she. So when we lean into exploring full potential, what is that? Now, we're going to be teaching Prosperity Plus. You've been hearing a lot about it, and it is a commitment program, and it is Prosperity Plus, but it's not so much about all the material things, right? We're going to design a vision, we're going to receive a vision, we're going to step into the possibilities of what would we love our life and our world to look like in 3 years. And people will go, maybe, well, I don't have any goals. I don't really know. And it's like, well, you start with health. Wouldn't you love equal or better health than what you have now? I would. I'm pretty healthy, and I'd like better health. How about your relationships? I've got really great relationships, and I could have more relationships with your colleagues, with your extended family, with your friends, with your neighbors. What would it be like to live in a place inside your own being that was so about love and connection and community that you didn't see the other stuff? What would it be like to be ever in a state of forgiveness and acceptance? That's not about being a doormat, but it's about opening ourselves to see the potential in others, to be the potential in ourselves. Vocation, that can be your work, your career. It can be what you love. It can be your hobby. It can be anything that ignites in you the energy of giving to the world, of creating beauty, of creating in the world, of gifting in the world. It can be gardening. It can be reading a story to a grandchild or a baby. It can be, a big career. It doesn't matter. It's not about the big, the size. It's not about the outer. But it is about who you become as you step into your full potential. The fourth one is time and money freedom. I love that. I mean, wouldn't you like more freedom in your calendar or your bank account? But that's not the whole focus, right? And again, it's about who you be, who you become as you step into that. Because we are ever evolving. And we're ever evolving. We have the potential to quantum leap our evolution right here and right now at this point in time, as we're birthing the experience of new humanity, as we're birthing the realization and manifestation of oneness, as we're letting go of separation. Now, what we see in our world, in our country right now, is huge separation and huge divide. But what I'm talking about is not putting your stakes, in against. There's so much against. There's so much about me and you and us and them and other. Anything that's other. We're talking about raising our consciousness that we can hold the space for all. Where the paradox is that it is both and, right? The paradox is when we land in that space, there is no other. There are individuals, think of a mosaic, right? Every single little tile is a different color, a different piece, a different shape. But without every single piece, you wouldn't have the whole picture. But the whole picture is fundamentally founded on a new dimension of consciousness that is oneness. Now, Jesus taught this, right? We've been talking about it, especially in unity. We've been talking about it forever. But now it's time to embody it. It's not easy. It's simple. It's not easy. Because the thing is, as we're moving into full potential, as we're moving into oneness, we get to let go and surrender and release everything that's unlike love. Now that sounds really good, right? It sounds like, oh yeah, that sounds good. That's easy. But then what comes up is everything in your consciousness that's unlike love, right? So judgment, fear, worry, anxiety, rage, anger. You know, we're seeing all of that in the world. We're seeing it manifest in the world. But when you drop underneath the differences, when you rise above to oneness, every single person on this planet wants the same thing. We all want love. We all want connection. We all want safety, if you will. We all want fundamentally, now you can argue the differences, right? But we all want our full potential. We all want to be on the planet, alive, happy, content, fulfilled even. We all want safety. We all want belonging. We all want wisdom. What that looks like individually can be very different still. But when we land in our full potential, the differences matter not quite so much. Because when you're living your full potential, then you give all this space for everybody around you to live theirs without trying to control it. Right? When you are living and well, what do they say? You know, it's like we keep our side of the street clean, right? When you are keeping your lane clean, the other people's lanes don't matter that much. Right? It's not that we don't have preferences. It's not that, but it's that you're not impacted by anything outside of you. And that's really the bottom line. Jesus said the kingdom of God is within. Within. It's not out there. And when we land in the place of experiencing our full potential, then we are embodied, empowered. We have created this space to create the world that we want. And in that place of oneness, then we find this innovation and this creativity and this beauty that we could never see before. That then changes everything. So what is your full potential? Emily Cady, one of our Unity writers, she wrote the book Lessons in Truth. She talks about desire. What do you desire? Now, every time I say that now, I think of one of my actually favorite Netflix shows, which is maybe oversharing too, but it's Lucifer. I love Lucifer, especially the early season. And he has a superpower, right? Lucifer's the devil, obviously, the fallen angel, obviously. He's come to LA on vacation, and he's been here, decades or something. Anyway, I think it's brilliant. I've recommended it to some people. Some people are like, oh yeah, it's brilliant. Other people are like, why do you like that? I'm like, I don't know, I just do, right? Don't hold it against me. But he says, what do you desire? What do you desire? And he looks, I hope I'm looking at the right camera here, but you know, like, what do you desire? And people will kind of like go into this trance, and then they'll speak something like they would never said from their logical mind, even though it's the truth, like they would never admit it. But Emily Cady says that desire, the fact that we have desire, is God knocking on the door of our heart, calling us to more good. Again, it's not necessarily material, because you can have your desires, you can have your fulfillment, you can have your full potential with or without money, with or without relationship, with or without career, with or without. It doesn't matter. But when you line up with that, you're more apt to get what you want. But it's not even about getting what you want. There's an expectancy of good and greater good. There's an expectancy of a magnificent life. There's an expectancy of miraculous outcomes. There's an expectancy for good. In Romans, we hear all things work together for greater good for those who love God. One of my favorite, right? But then you go, wait a minute, what about the people who don't love God? And what does it work out to good the way I want it to, or is there a bigger picture? There's a bigger picture. You don't necessarily get what you want on the outer as you become who you're here to be. So we land in this place of desire. Like, what would you love? And then you unpack it. You can build it up, and then you can unpack it, and you go above it and underneath it. And what you find is it's almost always going to come down to qualities of freedom, qualities of abundance, qualities of creativity, of beauty. But we use the tools, and we'll use the tools of vision in our course, and we'll use them individually, but we're also going to begin to vision what would we love Unity Church of the Hills to be like, to feel like in 3 years' time. And we begin to seed the consciousness of that. We play with the art and the science, the true art and science, which brings transformation. The art is the development of the vision. So we'll be teaching and practicing how to build a vision that is actually supportive of your full potential. And the science is coming into vibrational alignment, the science of vibration and the science of frequency. We're using the quantum field here, even though we won't necessarily use that language, but we're accessing the quantum field, which is the kingdom of God, which is the realm of infinite possibilities, which is the divine mind. Every time we touch that, we are lifted up out of our small selves into our expanded selves, which is our true potential. So how do you do it? Well, come to the class. That's the obvious one, right? But how do you do it? How do you do it? Let's go back to the basics. In Unity, we have 5 principles. There's only one power, one presence, active in the universe. We call it God, and God is good. Good all the time. Principle 2, we have God in us. We live and move and have expression as God. We have that Christ potential, that divinity that is within us. It is accessed in us and through us, and the way to access that is to let go of anything that is unlike the God in you, the God as you. Doesn't make that you, one person, is God over the universe, but you are that co-creative, that Christ presence, that divinity expressing on the planet. Number 3, we say thoughts create your reality. We take it the next step, vibration. Vibrational alignment creates your reality. If you are vibrating in alignment with love, you will see more love. If you are vibrating in alignment of despair, you'll see more despair. It's about choosing consciously your vibrational field. The thought is closely related to that. Prayer and meditation, that's about getting still enough that you can access the truth of who you are. That's about getting still enough that you get up into the cave like Elijah, and the storms come by, and the news comes by, and the outer world comes by. And yet then, when do you feel that presence of God? In the sound of sheer silence. In that place, in the depths of your being, that's where you find God, your God, creation, source, universe. Use your word. But that's where you find that. And then our 5th principle is about putting it into practice, putting it into action. Because if we don't take it out of our being into the world, well, kind of what's the point? So it's about putting it into practice. It's about stepping out into a new way of being, which is your full potential. So when we look at Jesus, right, and we go back to the basics, his teachings, he said the greatest commandment is what? Now I know there's not a lot of you in the room, but is the greatest commandment judge and condemn and throw stones? Is that it? No! That's how we like to live sometimes. I mean, no judgment on anybody, right? But only owning my own stuff. The greatest commandment is to love the Lord God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength, to love your neighbor, to love your enemies, to love yourself. Ooh, that's a big one. To practice forgiveness, to take the log out of your own eye, before you whine about the speck in somebody else's. It's about to find that kingdom of God within. Not out there, not later on, right here and right now. And one of the great stories is the Good Samaritan. A young man says to Jesus, he says, how do I get into the kingdom of God? The kingdom of God, metaphysically, is the experience of oneness, by the way. And Jesus says, follow the commandments. He says, I do. He said, but what else? He said, love your neighbor as yourself. The young man goes, well, I love that neighbor and that neighbor, but what about that one? He goes, who's my neighbor anyway? Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan, of the man who was beaten on the side of the road and who walked by and who helped. Let's just read a part of this as well. We got scripture going today. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road. When he saw the man, he passed on the other side. Sorry, I moved quick to the cameraman, right? Camera girl up there, whoever's on the camera. Sorry. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he also passed by the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled to where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave him to the innkeeper. Looked after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you any extra expense that you may have. Now, Samaritans and Israelites were not allowed to talk. Samaritans were a lower class, so to speak, a different race, so to speak. And yet the story says, this is who your neighbor is. All people are your neighbor. All people. And when we practice what Jesus taught us, what we know are the qualities of new humanity now, when we practice love, not as an ideal, but as an experience, then what that shows up like is kindness and compassion and an ability to listen with new ears, not to listen so that you can respond, justifying your position, right, which we're all really good at, but to really listen from a bigger perspective, because all people want to be heard and recognized and realized. And when we do that, life begins to change. When we make that our top priority, life begins to change. And so my husband got a gift this week. It came in the mail from one of his daughters. And I think it's the perfect way to wrap up this talk, because it is the pathway to living full potential. Do we have it on the screen? It says, be a nice human. Be a nice human. Be a nice human. That's not like sweet, like, oh, yeah, be nice. It's not that. It's about being kind and being compassionate and being the truth of the full potential of who you are and who you are here to be. It's about accessing that presence of the Spirit within you, the essence of who you are and who you are becoming, because out of that rises kindness and compassion and innovation and beauty. And if our world doesn't need that right now, I don't know what we need. So my charge to you, my invitation to you, is just go out and be a nice human. God bless you. Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Reverend Eliza, for that message. Be a nice human. That is a goal that we all should have. And in being a nice human, it is time to give nicely. It is time for our offering, and there are multiple ways that you can give. You can give by text. You can give by going onto the website. You can give by the UCOH app. You can also mail in a check. And when the snow stops, you can even drive down here and deliver one yourself. So let us now go into our prayer for this offering. And if you'll say it with me and say it with some snow-driven fervor as a nice human being, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful. Makes no difference what the problem.
I can go to God in prayer.
For I know that God can solve them.
I can go to God in prayer.
God will take your gloom and sorrow.
Turn it into light.
God will comfort, strengthen, and keep you.
I can go to God in prayer.
I can call him when I need him. What a spirit, loving spirit. I can go to God in prayer. I can go to God in prayer.
Sometimes your burdens, they get so heavy.
I can go to God in prayer.
I have found one who is so faithful.
I can go to God in prayer.
God will turn your gloom and sorrow.
Turn it into love.
Spirit will comfort, strengthen and keep you.
I can go to God in prayer.
I can call when I need him. Oh, what spirit, loving spirit. I can go to God in prayer. I can go to God in prayer. Work it out. God can work it out. Oh, yes, he can.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Oh, yes, he can.
I'm trying for myself. I know God works it out. Yes, he
Yes, he
can.
can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Oh, yes, he can.
He'll pick you up and turn your life around. Yes, he will.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Oh, yes, he can.
I can call
God
when I need him. Oh, what spirit,
what spirit,
loving spirit.
loving spirit.
I can go to God in prayer.
God in prayer.
I can go to God in prayer. God can work it out. Oh, yes, he can.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can.
I tried it for myself, and I know God works it out. Yes, you
Yes, you
can.
can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can.
God picks you up and turns your life around. Yes, you will.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can.
I can call when I need him. Oh, what spirit,
what spirit,
loving spirit.
loving spirit.
I can go to God in prayer.
God in prayer.
I can go to God in prayer. I'm trying for myself.
All right. Thank you so much, Celebration, for that song. I heard somebody say, long time no hear that one. So thanks for bringing that one back.
I love the syncopation in that. It was like, I've never heard it like that. It was like, oh, that was fabulous.
It was so great. Thank you guys so much. I know there's lots of applause at home. So we just quick reminder that the How to Mastermind takes place today at 1 o'clock, led on Zoom by Cliff and Lou Goodwin Mark. And then we will be going deeper immediately following our prayer for protection. And I think we have something fun in mind there, don't we, Reverend Eliza?
Well, we do, because we've been talking about new humanity now. We've been talking about oneness, and we're also aware that our prayer for protection is very dualistic, even as unity does. So we're going to play with it. We're going to try and experiment. So take a breath.
Breathe.
Tammy's going to say the line as we've said it before, and then I'm going to give another line or two, and we're going to play with this and see how it works today.
All right, let's go. So, the light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God. As the light of God, I shine.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God. As the love of God, we embrace.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God. As the power of God, we stand in truth.
The presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God. As the presence of God, we radiate love.
And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I loved that. Thank you.
Kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it was totally
Yeah.
fun. Let us know what you thought about that. Stick around for our Going Deeper. We'll be right back.
Really good.
Okay, we are back, and I think while we wait for some questions to come in, so if you have a question for Reverend Eliza about her message, type it in the comments. But while we're waiting, I actually wanted to ask you kind of a personal question. So, I thought about the fact that, normally people would have an opportunity to get to know you out in the foyer. So hopefully you're okay with me asking you this question, but you have a really strong knowledge of the Bible. And I'm wondering, just curious, did that come out of your training at seminary, or what's your background actually like? And if you're willing to kind of go there,
totally,
I'm so curious.
totally.
And I bet our congregants are curious
Yeah,
too.
totally. So I went into seminary, and I knew my basic Bible schools from basic Bible stories from Bible summer school. Vacation Bible school, right? So I knew the parables. I knew, 6 of the parables, and that's what I knew.
Wow, okay.
And one of my greatest fears in going into seminary is I knew nothing about the Bible. And they let me in anyway.
Right?
And I learned what I needed to learn, and I loved metaphysical interpretation of it, but it still wasn't a huge forte. And one day I'm walking the halls. I'd been out of school a couple of years. I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe, I don't remember, a few years anyway, and Paul Hasselbeck, who many of us know and love, was the dean of it was then continuing education program, and he was fussing. Well, it's hard to imagine Paul fussing, but he was fussing. He was like, I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I said, hey, Paul, what's up? He goes, well, Laura Barrett Bennett just told me she can't teach Bible overview. I said, I'll do it.
Wow.
And I went, oh my gosh, what did I just do? He said, seriously, you know what you're going to do? But in that moment, I had this download. And then I became the Bible overview gal. Now, I'm still not a Bible scholar, but I can do overview. I used to be able to do overview really well. I think I've forgotten.
I don't know. After
But
today, I would say you've still got a really great handle on it.
But I love to take it personal. Because
Yeah.
so many people will read the Bible and use it for or use it against. But if you can make it personal. There's so much really great stuff. And yeah, you know what? We say, well, people just pick and choose what they want. Well, so do we.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that what
Actually.
we're all doing all day long?
Yeah, but for a few years, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I was in SEE, the Bible overview person.
Sweet. Well, I
Yeah.
love the story about Elijah and the take a nap and get a snack. That was really great. So, what does Elijah represent? Like, who is he in us?
Elijah is a prophet. Elijah is the light, the great I am, the awareness. Now, had I known you were going to ask me that question, I would have pulled out my
sorry.
metaphysical Bible dictionary, which I have on my tab on my computer, as well as, you know, the big book. But when you play with the metaphysical Bible dictionary, you can make that really personal.
Yeah.
But it's that part of us that is awakening, you know, like so many of the prophets and really the Jesus, the I am.
Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So then, you know, it's been an interesting week. We don't need to go into it, but it certainly feels like it's calling us to really step into this new humanity now and to let go of the judgment as you talked about. So any additional advice? Maybe like, you know, I'm sure when you're writing your messages, you end up leaving quite a bit out in order to get it into 22 minutes. So what are your thoughts?
Rob and I were talking last night. He's like, are you going to work on your talk? I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got like 7 talks.
Right?
Like, I don't know what's going to come out, right?
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things. And number one, if you are in harm's way, take care of yourself. Number two, if you are impacted directly and you're in grief or fear or whatever, rage or shock, take care of yourself. That's why we have prayer chaplains. We were going to mention them again too, by the way.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry,
Use our
Kim.
prayer chaplains. The phone number is in the chat somewhere. I don't know if Jennifer maybe can put that in again. But get yourself supported. Like really be supported and be taken care of. And then for those of us who are more indirectly impacted, we get to hold the light.
Yeah.
We get to hold, like, thank God, United States of America has found our way, right? That's what we used to say with our kids when they were little, and some of them were still saying it about, you know, thank God they found their way, right? But it really works because it gets us out of reaction, especially to social media, because it's all inflamed and we don't really know exactly what's truth anyway, into that still space. And then from that place, what is mine to do? And it might be yours to do to pray, and it might be yours to do to love, and it might be yours to do to be out and be an activist. It might be yours to do, but it's always going to be from spirit, take a stand for, not against.
Absolutely.
It's going to be more love, kindness, compassion. And that doesn't mean you don't have strong boundaries. It doesn't mean like no more. It doesn't mean any of that. In fact, I was reading a quote just a little bit ago, right before we came in, from Rosemary Fillmore Ray, who was granddaughter of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who was good friends with Rob and I both. In fact, she performed our wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, so we got great love with her. But she basically said, she was talking about that out of anger comes transformation. And out of anger and out of like, this is no longer good, comes everything from symphonies to new policies to new organizations to, I mean, she had a whole list.
Right.
It was very beautiful, but I
Right.
didn't have time in my 22 minutes to bring her in. So
Well, you brought her in now. So that's
Magical.
great.
yeah.
So I just have a quick question. I want to make sure that my feed is working. Sometimes my phone gets a little bit wonky, and I'm relying on it for questions. So if there are any questions in the chat, Jennifer, would you let me know? Okay. So do you guys have any questions for Reverend Eliza? It was an amazing talk. And I am just wondering, let's see, what's your vision for New Humanity now? 3 years. What do you see for us?
I don't know if I can limit it to 3 because I go pretty far out there pretty fast.
Oh, sweet. Well, go as far as you want to go.
New humanity now is birthing, and whether we see it in 3 years or a decade or a century, it's a whole new way of being on the planet. It truly is. We have transcended thousands of years of the belief of separation and come to known oneness. When we land in oneness, when we make that leap in consciousness, and it is a leap in consciousness, and it is like a whole different dimension of being, then truly what I see in new humanity is like a planet that is vitally alive and well cared for. That there are groups of people that come together for a greater good, that it is win, 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 that somebody has an issue, like, boom, here's the support. I mean, in some ways, it's like the villages, you know, but it's new, and it's very, very global. And the collaboration is one of the, we've been talking about our consciousness of care around here, which is super important. It will be infiltrated in that. But there's also a collaborative, like this, I have to do it alone, this individuality gets, it's not about being less individual, but this collaboration, like I have this gift, you have this, let's play together.
Oh, I love that.
And it's the power, it's that exponential power. And so I see governments that are truly for the people, not only in the United States, but all over the globe. I see governments that are maybe even like there's no boundaries. We are one world. We are one humanity. And what comes is so innovative and so beyond our even wildest imaginations. And in the global consciousness group I'm in, we hang out there.
That's great.
We're calling it forth. We're seeing it. We're not dreaming it up with our own brains, but it's like we're accessing it.
Oh, sweet.
And then consciously creating it.
Right, because it already exists.
It already
and
exists
it
in the
requires
infinite.
us to tap into it in order to bring it here into this reality.
Yeah, which is part of why going back to the visioning that the vision in our courses in Living Full Potential, and when you begin to put language on it, it makes it real. You can begin to then align with that vibration, and then it makes it real. You know, versus like, oh yeah, I have a vision of something beautiful in the future. It's like, well,
Yeah, it keeps it in the future.
yeah.
Right. You got to bring it into this moment.
But as I just begin to describe that, can't you feel it?
Oh, I totally felt it.
Right.
You brought it to life for sure.
Yeah, that was a great question.
That was fun. Okay, and now I have some questions.
Oh,
so,
okay,
yay,
good.
you guys. So, would the prosperity class be helpful in identifying what my desires are? I feel I've
Absolutely.
gotten in the habit of seeing to others' needs, that I'm not really in touch with what I want.
Yes, absolutely.
Great question.
And each week, starting on the 18th, we'll be playing with that. And each week, there's different principles and tools and practices and journaling prompts, that kind of thing. But really just seeding that. And we start, like Mary Morrissey tells this great story. She probably tells it in this course. But she does these events called Dream Builder, and and it's all about building that dream. And this lady comes up and she goes, "You don't understand. I can't dream." And Mary walks her through this process. She's like, "Well, don't you want to have health in 3 years?" "Oh yeah, and my husband too." "And where do you want to live?" And she described this dream house. "And what do you want to be doing? And where do you want to travel?" She described this whole. It's already there.
Right.
It just gets buried.
Yeah, I think sometimes you need someone else to ask you that question, which it sounds like we'll be doing quite a bit of in this class. So
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a tough one for you here. So the events of this week evoked emotions akin to 9/11,
Yes.
as circumstances appear to contain the potential for a point inflection. In a number of conversations recently with other congregants, we discussed our communal obligations with regards to current events. What is the most audacious vision we can adopt as a New Thought church with regard to social issues?
That's a great question.
It really is.
It really is. It kind of ties into one of the things I've been talking about at some level anyway, which is about we as a Unity Church of the Hills get to really determine who we be and how we line up with spiritual principle. And as I sort of kind of danced around without going directly. In my talk today, we get to take a stand for humanity, which to me, and this is just me, this is not Unity Church of the Hills, this is me, that says all people. That means we address the elephants in the room around racism and white supremacy and inequality in all kinds of arenas. But we get to really do that as a culture. What if this church, this ministry became a safe haven for all people? Like there are in any organization even more and more polarized, and we can't see how the other side could see what they see. But what we get to do in ministry, and especially in ministry post-COVID and ministry moving forward, is find a bigger platform. You know, whether that is whatever it is.
Right.
But that the voice, because we also have to be a safe place for people.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and if we're talking oneness, that means that there is no other.
Yeah.
That means that all people are welcome here, if they have the capacity to be welcome here.
Right.
Right? If they have the capacity in themselves to be welcomed in this mix.
Yeah.
But it's letting go of right and wrong, even though we know we're right.
Right. The field.
It's meeting in the field, and then co-creating from that. Like, what will our world look like in 3 years if we use the events of this week to catapult us into something better? Overall, overarching, not one or the other, but bigger than all of that. And we go back, that's why I went back to the basics today. Basic principles, unity principles, basic teachings of Jesus. It has got to be about love and forgiveness and non-judgment and then non-resistance. And that doesn't mean that you don't take action if you've been abused.
Right.
Right? It doesn't mean becoming a doormat.
No.
It means taking a stand. I will be treated. I will treat with kindness, with love, with compassion. And you don't get to bully me.
Right.
Right? Individually, collectively, we get to decide, you know, I'm temporary here. I don't get to really decide that. I can throw some questions out as you all are looking at that. And the board has a retreat coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure that looking at our future will be a part of, you know, what the board will be looking at.
Absolutely. And I know our Board of Trustees welcomes your thoughts and your feedback around who we are being called to step into. So, you know, you can go to the board page to get their email addresses. And Frank has mentioned over and over and over again that he is available. The whole board is available. So I feel confident in putting that out there here. So I have another question for you.
Okay.
Okay. In Don't Go Back to Sleep, what does the door is round and open mean? And then this person goes on to say, could it be a portal back to the messages from God that came from the breeze at dawn? Very poetic question there.
Very poetic, yes.
So what are your thoughts about the door is round, and he's got round in quotes and open?
Well, and that was a part of the poem, so it was Rumi's language. But
right.
to me, I love that person said portal.
Yeah.
The portal to the new. Like, there's not the hard edges. Like, part of what we get to do is soften our hard edges.
Right.
Even as we take a stand. Right? It's such a paradox. I was going to mention my book, Paradox of Awakening, today, and then I forgot.
Okay,
so
well,
now I did.
Now. Mention it. Tell us about that book.
It's available on Bookshop. So, and I know Melissa has created a page just for the books that I have here. We're going to be talking about some of my books later on too in the next couple of weeks. But the Paradox of Awakening, the subtitle of that is Finding Peace in a World of Chaos. But it addresses some of the different paradoxes of awakening. Like, you have to do it alone and you can't do it alone.
Right.
Like, you have to soften your edges and you have to be clear on who you are. So it's like, get more solid and soften. It's those types of paradoxes. And I think that's really, but I love the idea of the portal. It's something that I use in my work often. The portal to the new humanity, where we don't see the differences. I don't know if I quite even answered that.
No,
but
I think
kinda
you
got a little
did. I
bit.
kind of think that it was just a great poetic question there. So
Yeah.
I had one more question, I think. Let me see if I can find it. No, maybe I don't. I know I do have a comment from Kay. I noticed prayer for protection was dualistic a while back and have been working with that. So it was nice to see you present it differently as you did today. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
So thank you for that feedback. We love feedback here. And I guess I've got one question from a congregant that thank you for naming it, naming what's going on out in the world, right? And why do you think we hesitate to name it?
Well, we hesitate to name it because we don't want to make anybody mad.
But it is tricky.
It's so
hard to
charged. I mean, there's so much that is
navigate.
so charged in the world, and not just this week, and not just this year, and not just this decade, but there's so much that's charged in those things that are coming up for us to address. And in Unity, we have historically said just hold the high watch and don't deal with it. But even in the last, I don't know, Rob, what, 10, 15 years, there's social. I can't. I thought you all in the sanctuary would be better. Oh, maybe he left. I can't see
where's
with the
Rob?
lights. He bailed.
It's hilarious.
But there's a movement that says we need to stand for what we stand for
Right.
within Unity, and we're not there yet. But when we do, I think a part of we don't want to make people mad. We don't want to be part of the polarization. We don't
Right.
want to do, all of that.
Yeah.
And
right.
they're tricky conversations. But I know that Joni and John are doing conscious conversations. I think those are so important to really, like that comment said, name what's in the room.
Yeah.
Because once you name it, then you can address it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to give you guys time to go join Cliff and Lou for How to Mastermind. It's a powerful process. Be sure to register for Prosperity Plus 3. Do you have any
Yeah,
closing
come to the
comments?
quantum frequency
Oh,
group
right.
harmonic session on Wednesday,
Yeah, at 12:30, right?
12:30 on Zoom.
And
Yep.
you can find that on our calendar, on our website. Knowing Jennifer, she probably put it in the comments somewhere, but if you can't find it, just reach out to us and we'll get you connected. So go enjoy the snow, but be safe if you're here in Central Texas. Have a beautiful week, and we love you.
Bye, everyone.
Since we've talked about the mastermind process here at UCOH, it is a powerful process developed by Jack Boland and Renaissance Unity, built on the foundation that where two or more are gathered, we unleash the creative genius, wisdom, and power of the source that created and directs our universe and lives. As we move into 2021, Cliff and Lou Goodwin Mark are committed to resurrecting our How to Mastermind information sessions so that you can learn about this process and hopefully form a mastermind group of your own. I have my own mastermind group, and I must say, during 2020, this group that's been a part of my life for well over a decade has made a huge difference in moving through these very interesting, shall we say, again, times. So join Cliff and Lou this Sunday, January 10th via Zoom at 1 p.m. to explore this process, learn how to form your own group, and invoke the power of the mastermind so that amazing results may show up in your life.
Tuesday, January 12th at 7 p.m., you're invited to join Dr. Dan Stasek for his Learn to Meditate class. By the end of the class, you'll be able to go through the steps of superconscious meditation from the Institute of the Himalayan tradition and practice them at home. Dr. Dan's class is offered on a love offering basis via Zoom.
Join Reverend Eliza Bloom Robinson for a 45-minute group quantum frequency session via Zoom. Each session is unique as we use the group harmonics to discover and receive the most resonant frequencies for the moment. Experience the power of specific frequencies used to raise our vibrations and enter the quantum. This session will be on Wednesday, January 13th from 12:30 to 1:15 p.m. via Zoom. The class is held on a love offering basis with a suggested offering of $25.
And if you've ever been interested in learning more about the spiritual book, A Course in Miracles, now is a great time to jump in. Starting in January, longtime course student and practitioner Jennifer Feiereisel will be facilitating The Way of A Course in Miracles 2, Undoing of Fear. Beginning on either Thursday, January 14th at 7:30 p.m. or Friday, the next day, January 15th at 10:30 a.m., the workshop is offered on a love offering basis, takes place on Zoom. Learn more and register today at unityhills.org.
Another opportunity to connect with our lovely Reverend Eliza is through the workshop series Prosperity Plus 3, Living Full Spectrum Wealth, a Tithing Experiment in Abundant Living. This is an all-new prosperity course taught virtually by globally renowned spiritual teacher and best-selling author Mary Morrissey and facilitated by our Bridge Interim Minister, Reverend Eliza Bloom Robinson. Together, we will explore the art and science of true transformation and learn how to take your dreams from a vision into reality. The experiment begins Monday, January 18th at 7 p.m. via Zoom and will last for 8 weeks. Learn more and register today at, you guessed it, unityhills.org.
The Unity Way of affirmative prayer is ultimately aimed at the experience of the divine and realization of the practitioner's divine potential. Join licensed Unity teacher Anita Farrell and LUT candidate Sandra Vela for a 5-week study of Unity prayer beginning January 30th from 10 a.m. to noon, you guessed it, via Zoom. There are 2 price options and the class can be taken for credit towards becoming a licensed Unity teacher. Register today at unityhills.org.
How is your start to the new year? Are you #ready to soar or #finding my wings? If you'd like some extra inspiration to kick off the new year, come and visit our newly painted angel wings, our very own Sharabella Feeney artistically added to the pavilion wall of Unity Oaks. We are holding a campaign through the month of January as a kickoff to honor this beautiful installation, and we need your participation. Visit the wings, take a picture in front of the wings, there are 2 sizes to choose from, and share your picture on social media with either the #ReadyToSoar or the #FindingMyWings, or both. Everyone who posts will be entered into a drawing for a prize to be drawn at the end of January. Thank you to all who participate, and a huge thank you to Sharabella.
You know, I've been out and I've seen the wings. I didn't have my picture taken, but I've seen the wings, and I can tell you that Sharabella didn't just wing it when she painted it.
She did not. And why didn't you take a picture, Tim? Now you have to come back and take your picture.
I will do that.
Okay.
Because our latest episode of the One Power podcast features an interview with Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. In the episode, our own Tammy Lorraine and Rick Busby talk with Don Miguel Jr. about the Toltec tradition and explore the intersections between this path and unity. It's a fascinating interview and worth a listen. Find this episode as well as past episodes at onepowerpodcast.com. You can help us spread the word by leaving a review or rating the podcast high on your favorite podcast player.
I certainly will rate it high.
Yay.
I don't know about you, but one of my resolutions always seems to be around creating order. Doesn't it, Tammy? Order. Is it clean the house? Do this. Okay. So my resolutions seem to be around creating order, and especially around all of electronic data. So you can help our church staff create order by letting them know if you've moved, changed emails, or have a new phone number. The easiest thing to do is call the church office at 512-335-4449 or email communications@unityhills.org. Tammy, do you think that y'all can help me out with switching my email like I've been talking about for the last 5 years?
Yeah, if you don't want to deal with cleaning up your email, just get a new one, start all over, and then let us know what that new email address is. So as we step fully into 2021, it is time for us to quicken our energy around the search and selection of our new senior minister, and you can help.
Yes, the more we can be in conversation with this divine being who is being called to be with us, the more our minister will feel the pull of spirit and awaken to their divine nudge. Over the next few days and weeks, we invite you to write a letter or letters.
I nudge, I like that. So make your letter personal. Share your excitement, your hopes, your dreams, your gratitude, whatever is in your heart or on your heart, to share with this divine soul who is going to be our minister.
Mail the letters not to unityhills.org, believe it or not. Mail them, snail mail, using a stamp and real paper to 9905 Anderson Mill Road, Austin, Texas 78750. That address again is 9905 Anderson Mill Road, Austin, Texas 78750. And put attention new senior minister somewhere on the envelope so no one opens the letter until our new minister arrives. He, she, they will be the only one to read your letter.
Well, that's it for the announcements. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
How come we're not saying Happy New Year this week? It's still
Okay. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
in the foyer.
In the foyer.
Via.
Via.
Already
over it.